Hey everybody, and welcome to, well, the first of many podcasts that will happen every Monday and possibly Sunday, but most definitely Monday. So every Monday I'm going to do a video like this discussing whatever I want to, topics that are on my mind, etc. So I have I hit it by accident. I have a professional microphone here, which if I want to change the hue, I can move this screen and it will make the recording louder or make it softer. It should also pick up, well, better audio quality all around. And you might hear a slight buzzing sound in the background. That's mainly because I haven't figured out all the intricacies with this software and hardware. So there's that. You also have cool things like this, which are little sound cues. We have the standard like laugh and applause track. And such and such. We also have a voice changer which can change, I think, 5 different voices: female, monster, male, baby, singing voice, and I think maestro mode and then original mode. Right now it's on original mode. It also connects to Bluetooth devices, so if I wanted to connect it to a giant speaker outside and blast my voice across the heavens, I could do so. But why did I get a microphone? Well, actually, I did not get it. A very good singer at my workplace gave me this free of charge just because we support him. I have been his friend for a while, and he knows that I do YouTube. So thank you, good sir. And this is something I might actually ask him if he would like to be recommended on the channel. Like maybe I'll put his like link and all his info in the description, and if you want to go check him out, go check him out. But yeah, he gave this microphone to me for complete free. And which is odd because here's a little story about me. When I was 12, well, actually, it started when I was younger. When I was younger, ages 9 to probably 16, I was big into sound design. Also, there's one downfall to the microphone and how loud it is. It picks up everything. I haven't figured out how to make it so it has a noise reduction mode, but I don't know how. But it picks up everything in my camper as well. And every time I open my camper door, a stray bug will always come in and harass the crap out of me. So you'll probably hear a buzzing sound now, which this will pick up. And yeah, there's a little, well, not, I think it's a sweat fly, which is what we call them. It's a sweat fly that's just over there. I do have a lining of bug poison around my camper and on the inside, so it will most likely die in about an hour. So I don't have to really worry about it. But yeah, that's going to be annoying. But back to the story. So when I was between the ages of 9 to 16, I loved sound design, and I mean I loved it. I would pick up rocks and just toss them at random objects and listen to the sound that the rock made against said object. And eventually, what I would do is I would start walking because I used to live in Virginia, and in Virginia, we lived in a little valley, and that valley was all gravel road for about a mile. We were literally in a valley, so there was a road. The road would go straight past everyone else's houses on the road that we lived on. So better explanation. So we lived in a location called Falls Mills, Virginia, and we were by an Excel Tools station, which was concrete. It was a big concrete lot with 2 big buildings next to it. And number one, I would always ride my scooter, ride my bicycle all over that lot, and it was downhill. So I would ride it all the way up the hill, and then I would ride it all the way down at Mach 7. In fact, there was one time, slight derailment, that I was riding my bike from the grocery store back home, and I saw my dad. He drove a Ford pickup truck or Chevy. I think it was a Ford. I have it somewhere on the wall somewhere. Actually, no, I don't. I don't. I haven't actually placed anything on the walls pretty much in my camper yet. But he drove a red big pickup truck, and I was on my way home, and he was driving back. He saw me, and for some ungodly reason, I started speeding on the bike, trying to surpass the truck. Now, the truck is a motorized vehicle, it can go really, really fast. So, what became probably could have been my demise was the XL Tools lot had a dirt road to the side that went directly behind the building for transporting and stuff like that. Keep in mind, this place was on a downhill slope. So I was riding my bike next to him on the main road. I turn on that dirt road going down. Dirt road's filled with potholes. He goes on the nice smooth pavement going downhill. I hit a bump, lose control, and slam into the side of the XL Tools building, nearly breaking my neck in two. I was extremely lucky to not have a broken neck and be paralyzed, but I literally slammed into that wall, my neck buckled, and the bicycle flipped over. I left a big ass dent in the wall of the XL Tools building. All the workers came out to see what happened, and my dad just sat there. After he realized I was all right, he started laughing his ass off. And yeah, I learned a valuable lesson that day. Don't try to outrun a vehicle on a bike on a dirt road going downhill. But yeah, about the dirt road. The dirt road was completely like pothole filled. We didn't have the money to have it like filled in. None of the people on the road did. We were basically hillbillies. That's the best way we could describe it. Every single person on that like lot or road was a hillbilly. That's basically what we were. And the road was about a mile, maybe a mile and a half long, and at the end of the road was our little place. We had a trailer, we had a big pasture which we had four horses in, and we had a good, decently sized property. There was a mountain in the back that I used to climb. But back to the sound design. I would take I would take a pair of shoes and carry them along with me, along with my actual shoes. And I would first walk the road listening to the crunch of the gravel underneath my feet. And then I would, on the way back, take my shoes off. This was back when I was still young and like free, so my body recovered extremely fast. So I didn't mind getting scratched, wounded. I still have scars all over my body from the dumb shit I did. But I would walk all the way back barefoot on the gravel just so I could hear the sound difference between shoes and bare feet. Then I would walk again back with the shoes I had in hand, plopping them on the ground, doing like a four-legged walk. So I would have the shoes on my hands, shoes on my feet, and I would be doing like a catwalk just down the road, which probably looked very stupid to people. But I would listen to the different sounds of the gravel via that. I would also, when I was gaming, I would also take a VHS tape, put it in my RCA TV, which had a recorder built in, and I would record my gameplay and then listen to it back over the mono system because back then there wasn't stereo or a lot of stereo. And I would listen to the sounds of the games and whatnot, and I would isolate those sounds as best I could to hear intricate like noises and whatnot. But when I was younger, I was really, really big into sound design. I would make weird sounds. I would make weird actions that generated sounds. I would even try to simulate sounds that I heard in the background, like horse hooves, like boots on mud, crunching of leaves, twigs breaking, all that kind of stuff. And I still have a love for sound design. Oh, my back. I still have a love for sound design, but I admit I don't do a lot of sound design anymore. there's that little bug in the distance. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if you can see it. It's right there. I'm trying to wait till it comes on camera, but it's not. It's being sneaky. But yeah, I love sound design. I always love sound design, and I also love film and editing, which is ironic because at this moment in time I do more watching of movies than I do playing of games. In fact, I would have to say I don't even play my PlayStation that much anymore because I'm almost never home. I do too many projects lately. But another funny thing about growing up is the fact that I have been literally everywhere. I've been to Texas, I've been to Virginia, I've been to Florida, I've been to South Carolina, North Carolina. I have been to, I think, Michigan once, and I even went a brief stint with my father to California just to visit some friends and family. So I have been to a lot of locations, but I still, to this day, consider Virginia to be my home. That's where I grew up. That's where I grew up in a lot of places, but I spent 9+ years in Virginia. So most of my early adult life was spent there. And honestly, I miss the days when you didn't have cell phones or smartphones, rather. I miss the days when I could finish my homework and just go outside and climb up a mountain. Like, no looking at phones, no nothing. Just you, your energy, and a giant mountain. Because at the end of the valley was our trailer, and behind our trailer was this massive mountain, and I mean massive. Now, compared to a lot of mountains, it was small, but for me back then, it was really massive. And it would, if I wanted to go from the base of the mountain to the top of the mountain, it would take me about an hour and a half of climbing. And I would climb the crap out of that mountain until I got to the very top. And when you were at the very top, you could literally see over the horizon, see all the buildings, you could see all the businesses, you could see houses in the distance. It was amazing. But the dumbest thing I ever did on that mountain was one snow, because it snowed a lot in Virginia, like a lot. But one snow, we packed up a few sleds and stuff, and we went all the way to the top of the mountain. And originally, the plan was to sled down the entire mountain, but this was a mountain with trees, rocks, and actually a cliff face. So if I slid all the way down the mountain, I would fall directly down and hit a bunch of trees. So we decided, okay, this is not safe. Let's go to the base of the mountain, which at the base it was still a pretty lengthy like climb, and then at the like near before you got to the cliff face was our like horse barn, and it was a bit of a flat space, and we set up our sleds and everything there, and me and my dad would sled down the snowy banks for a couple hours. He would eventually get too cold and he'll go inside, but I continued to sled. And then I got the bright idea to not use the sled and to roll down the mountain on my sides. So what I did, I discarded the sled next to the horse barn, and I looked down the mountain and I said, "This is a bright idea." I jumped, like I literally was sitting here and I jumped belly first down the mountain and was sliding. If you've ever seen a puffer coat, the big thick puffer coats that are like kind of not rubbery but slick, plasticky feeling, I was wearing one of them and I started gaining speed sliding on my belly. And then for some ungodly reason, I decided to turn on my side and I rolled down the hill, just hitting everything. I hit like stumps, I hit twigs, I hit any kind of rock that was even slightly like above the ground. And by the time I got to the bottom of the mountain, I was covered in bruises and cuts and stuff. Now, I might tell another story related to those bruises and cuts because something a little bit more severe happened one time because of those bruises and cuts. But yeah, I did crazy stuff back then. I also would climb trees. I also would like go creeking. So we in the front of our house we had a long like creek, and anytime it rained for a long amount of time, it would literally overflow and flood our pasture. But I would literally take a metal post. If you've done any type of fencing or anything, you know what I'm talking about. The long metal posts that you stick in the ground. They're typically steel and they're very thin. I would take one of them as a walking stick and I would just wade into the water up until my chest. Back then I was not as tall as I am now, so it would probably go up to my maybe belly button or a little bit above. It wouldn't be up to my chest anymore, or at least I don't think it would. But I would go creeking and just catch crawfish and clams and stuff like that. And I would bring the crawfish and the clams home, and then they would always die because when I was a kid, I didn't realize. So sea creatures need oxygen, and oxygen does not replenish in water without proper equipment, or it doesn't it doesn't replenish in non-running water. So static water, oxygen will eventually run out for the undersea creatures and they will suffocate to death. So I would bring buckets of crawfish and clams home, and mom would always say, "We're going to cut them up and eat them." Well, they were small. They were a little bit bigger than that, but they were just small crawfish. So I would place the bucket on our big old like freezer, and they would sit there for like a couple hours. Nothing would happen to them, and then I'd wake up in the morning and they were just all dead. And that was a sad day. I stopped catching them and just started just maybe putting my hand in the creek and just letting them pinch my fingers and then pulling them out, look at them, and then put them back. But we did actually take some of the clams and deshell them. We did eat some of the clams, but preparing clams is harder than you think it is, and if you don't prepare it right, you get sick from them. So we eventually stopped doing that because it was just taking too much time to shell the clams, to get the meat out and all that, and then cook them properly. So eventually I stopped hunting for little sea critters to feast upon. And then I became friends with them all. So I was friends with the crawfish. I would be out there so often that they would see me. They wouldn't run from me anymore. They would just pull up in the shallow parts, just doing whatever they do. They would wait for me to put my finger in. They would pinch me. I'd pick them up, and then I'd put them back down. Then I'd throw little crumbs of bread for them, and they just all eat that up, and then I'd go on my way. But they probably hated me when I was catching them. I guarantee you, it's like, oh my god, this jackass is back, run for the hills. But, or rather, run for the mud, because that's what crawfish do to hide. They will dig under rocks and get into the sediment, and they'll burrow themselves under stuff to protect themselves from predators. So if you scared them, they would literally just disappear. You wouldn't even see them. They would just disappear. So the only way to aggro them from that point on is, like I said, stick your hand in the sand and see if something stabs you to death. So, yeah. As a kid, I also wanted to do that with the lobster, but I was told not to do that with the lobster because their pinch strength is far superior than that of a small crawfish. So, yeah, my dad said if you do that with a lobster, you're going to get your finger pinched off. Now, with my hands as meaty as that they are and as big as they are, part of me still wants to do that and see if a lobster could potentially pinch my like finger off. But that's just my intrusive thoughts rearing their head. So that's a stupid thought. But back to the reason why I have a microphone. Well, because I want to start a podcast. This is the first episode of said podcast, and I'm debating whether or not to to keep the camera on for the podcast or just have an audio cast. So if you guys are watching and you care about it, tell me in the comments if you care for a camera podcast or just a regular podcast. But yes, what we're going to be doing every Monday, definitely Monday, is talking about random things. Maybe sometimes it will be strictly about me and what I like to do, what I get on with, well, what I do on my everyday life. Sometimes it might just be about topics. Who knows? Maybe gaming, maybe a little bit of drama, but I try to stay away from that. Maybe I'll even do a collab with some other small YouTubers and talk about how they grow their channel or what do they do in their everyday life. But for now, it's just going to be topics that I want to talk about. And I will disclaimer, some of the topics might be a little bit out there. By out there, I mean some of the topics might be a little bit offensive to some people because I don't have a filter. So if I'm doing a podcast and I'm talking about something that offends you, just know that I don't mean any harm by it. I don't mean anything like that. It's all my personal opinions and my own outlook on things. So just viewer discretion is advised for these things because sometimes I do have opinions on topics that might be a little bit offensive to people if they take it the wrong way. But one thing about me is I will never put a filter on myself unless I absolutely have to. But again, I don't ever want to offend anyone. So yeah, the podcast is going to be about random things. And also, can I really call this a podcast when it's only me? Because a pod is normally a group of things, like a peas in a pod, so to speak. There's not one pea in a pod, there's normally several peas in a pod. So podcast, multiple people talking about whatever they want to talk about, having a discussion. So technically right now it's not a podcast, it's just a audio commentary. But I've always been interested in sound design, voice acting, stuff like that. I've always been interested in writing and reading. Heck, if I go over here, I actually have books that I've been reading. This one is called Civil War in Pictures. It's actually not a bunch of pictures. It's actually just mostly like actual words. There's a little bit of pictures you can see, but it's mostly just words. So it's not like a picture book. It's just Civil War with pictures. But I also have books like this one, which I haven't started reading yet, which is the Epic of Helenthea by M.J. Pankey. This is I'm going to guess it's probably a Greek mythology book, but I have books like that. I also have weird books that I found just because I like the cover art. This one is A Broken Blade, The Halfling Saga. No offense, but that does not look like a halfling. A halfling, typically, that looks more like an elf, but it is what it is. Fantasy creatures can vary depending on the artist. And then I have mystery books like The Return of Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle. Great book. Great book. But yeah, I do read. I used to read a lot. I used to read a book a day back when my dad taught me how to read because, fun fact, I did get a GED, but I never went to public school. I was always that weird kid that got bullied, and because of the bullying, I had just a small temper, and I normally got kicked out of every place I was in because anger issues. But I've been homeschooled all my life. I got a GED, and after that, I would just read. As soon as I was taught how to read, I would literally read a book a day. And honestly, that book a day was pretty damn good. And they weren't kids' books either. I wasn't reading like The Adventures of Dick and Jane. I was reading shit like this. Heck, I read the entire Webster's Dictionary, not the small one. I mean the big red Webster's Dictionary. I read the entire Webster's Dictionary from front to back, and learned over 1,672 words. Do I know all those words now? Not really. The sad thing is, and I never thought this would happen to me, but the phrase if you don't use it, you lose it, that actually applies. If you don't use your intelligence, if you don't use the knowledge that you acquired throughout your life, you will in fact lose it. And that actually leads me to another topic. So, I'm not the smartest person you'll ever see. In fact, I'm quite unintelligent compared to a lot of people. However, I have noticed a massive influx of like people who don't seem to be as smart as they want to be touted as. And I kind of blame our schools because if you want to send your kids to school, you got to send them to a really good school that actually cares about their education. And I also blame phones, smartphones, social media, all that kind of stuff because I genuinely think, and this happens to me too, that brain rot is a thing that happens. Like when you're on your phone 24/7, your brain absorbs all that information from your like anything you do. If you game a lot, you're going to have a ton of gaming knowledge, but you're not going to have a lot of knowledge on some other things. Your brain does have a finite capacity for knowledge. It can get filled up to the point where it has to erase some excess knowledge to make way for new knowledge. So in my case, I watch a lot of YouTube. Heck, I'm a YouTuber now. I'm a small YouTuber. I'm a niche YouTuber, but I'm a pseudo YouTuber now. Now, am I a good one? No, I'm not a good YouTuber at all. I'm probably not entertaining at all anyway. But I spend a lot of time watching YouTube, engaging with YouTube, and I spend a lot of time just watching movies, and I used to spend a lot of time gaming. I would spend 8 hours when I was a kid. By kid, I mean ages 12 to probably 16. After 17 and 19, I stopped gaming as long. But when I was still a tween, I was spending 8 hours a day playing video games. 8 hours a day is unhealthy. Now, in this day and age where you have gamers, you have YouTubers, and you have people who literally make money off of their gaming careers, it's not as ambiguous. Is that the right word? It's not as out there to say I make money playing video games. And there's a lot of people that I know on YouTube or have watched on YouTube that are extremely intelligent and they still game like crazy. And the funny thing is, gamers can be the most amazing type of person and the most heinous type of person. Not everyone is going to be not everyone is going to be like all peaches and rainbows. And a lot of times like absolute serious gamers can be some of the most toxic people you will ever see. And the funny thing is, a lot of that toxicity comes from the fact that, hey, I'm sitting over here on my couch, on my bed, on my like chair, outside, wherever you're doing your gaming, and you're way across the country. You're way out of range of me. So I can say whatever I want to, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that is part of the reason some gamers might be toxic is because they know there's not shit you can do to them. So they can say whatever they want to you, and they try to rage bait you. Now, this happened to me a lot when I was playing fighting games competitively. So I was playing fighting games for the majority of my young life. I started gaming when I was 11 years old. My dad bought me a fat PS2. And the very first game that I ever played on said fat PS2 was Project Snowblind. And Project Snowblind was interesting because it was a shooter. It was a rated T for teen shooter, and we had a big TV. We had a huge TV, and I hooked the PlayStation 2 up to the big TV. We had a giant like stereo system underneath that TV that if you plugged in would literally vibrate our trailer. It was huge. But I plugged the PS2 up on the family TV because the big TV was not my TV. Good lord, it was not my TV. The big TV was the family TV. But my dad bought a PS2. I hooked it up. He gave me two games. The first one was Project Snowblind, which I actually have a copy of. I recently sold about 30% of my video games that I will never play. I I've cut back on game collecting. I collect the games I know I will play in the future. I'm not collecting games that will just sit on my shelf and I'll never interact with. So I sold about probably $300 worth of video games from my collection, and I probably only have $400 worth of video games left. That's a lot. That's a lot of video games. But most of them are rare games like Legend of Zelda, Xenosaga Episode 2. Yes, I have Xenosaga Episode 2. Look those games up. You want all three Xenosaga games? You're looking at $500 to $400 for mint copies. That is ridiculous. I'm sorry. That is ridiculous. But yes, I have Xenosaga Episode 2. I want Xenosaga Episode 1 because side tangent here. Xenosaga was the very first like turn-based game that I ever played that I got addicted to. Final Fantasy VII was up there, but Xenosaga was my shit. And I played all the way up until what's his name? Leggy, the guy with the cyborg legs, and Momo. Momo was the little like child Realian that accompanied Ziggy. And there was a fight. I can't remember. It was a Genosis fight in a giant whale, was it? But it was that major boss fight. I made it all the way to that major boss fight and then I gave up. Because the sad thing about old turn-based games, they're not about the strategy per se. They're more about trial and error. Think of a stealth game, an old stealth game where you just keep playing the level over and over till you can actually find the correct path or the way through without engaging anyone. But old turn-based games are like that. They have strategy when you're just doing the standard like enemies that run around or random encounters. But when you face a very strong enemy or you face a boss, that's when it becomes more like a trial and error, fail over and over till you find that one strategy that works, and that one strategy is what you're going to be using for the entirety of your attempts anytime you replay the game. Well, Xenosaga, just like Final Fantasy VII when it came to the weapons, is exactly like that. And I hate games that force you into one specific strategy and don't let you deviate from said strategy if you actually want to succeed. That's why I like modern turn-based games, is because they allow you more freedom of expression in how you approach them. It's absolutely fantastic. But old school turn-based games, it's really hard to find that one that clicks with you and that lets you play however you want. That's why another game I really loved playing was The Legend of Dragoon. That game had bosses where you had to play a specific way if you really wanted to beat them efficiently, but it did give you some leeway on how you approached some of the encounters. And the only reason I don't play Legend of Dragoon now, even though I have it on PlayStation 4 and 5, is just reading. I'm sorry, but games that have copious amount of reading in them, it it gets to the point where you're like, I'm reading a book. I'm not playing a game, I'm reading a book. And the carpal tunnel you get when you're mashing that button to skip dialogue, like when I play those games, I literally start to get cramps in my thumb from pushing like, okay, push X, push X, push X, faster, 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 faster. Oh my god, my thumb hurts. Yeah, I prefer voice acting in games now. Sorry, that's just how it is. I prefer voice acting in video games now. But if Legend of Dragoon ever got remastered, I would probably get it just if it had voice acting. And that's the biggest drawback for really old retro games on the PS1, some on PS2, and even some on PS3, is the fact that if it didn't have voice acting, chances are I probably would never replay it because I just do not have the time to sit and read a book. I would rather carry an actual book with me and read it on the go than carry a game console with me. That actually leads me to another tangent. I really like the Nintendo Switch. I didn't think I would like the Nintendo Switch, but the Nintendo Switch is the sole reason I still game right now. It's not the PlayStation 5. I don't regret getting that console, but I do regret investing so much in it. I don't regret getting it, but I do regret investing in it, if that makes any sense. But the Switch is my go-to console for gaming now. If I want to sit down, if I want to play a game for a decent amount of time, I take my Switch or I game on the TV. I have a big Roku TV right across the screen for me with a modded Wii hooked up to it and the Switch. In my bedroom, which is all the way down there, I have my PS5, a modded PS2, a modded GameCube, which I don't know why I have that because I have a modded Wii, and I have a broken Xbox 360 that I still have not sat down and repaired. I also have a giant box of PlayStation controllers and GameCube controllers that I'm probably going to take apart and repair in a video. Theoretically, maybe, hypothetically. Theoretically and hypothetically are two different words that mean two different things, but I might. So there's that. But yeah, I don't game that much anymore. And the Switch is the main thing I game on. Without the Switch, I probably would not be doing a lot of gaming. I've been playing a lot of Power World as well, and I recently got back into Invincible Versus after they finally buffed Monster Girl. So I do still game a little bit. But oh, what's this button do? Let's do it again. Tell tell me that does not sound like the Crash Bandicoot theme. Listen to it. That sounds like something straight from Crash Bandicoot. Crash Bandicoot. You also have this button, which is the slap. There's a content creator out here that has a professional version of that sound. Those who know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. Great YouTuber, by the way. I don't watch him nearly as much as I used to, but his Elden Ring playthrough and all that kind of stuff is fantastic. You know what? Let me list off my favorite YouTubers that I still watch to this day really quickly. Pro Jared, funny dude. I love every single review he's ever created is a phenomenal thing. Like absolutely phenomenal. Jacksepticeye I used to watch religiously just because I loved his full game walkthroughs. His Subnautica walkthrough was perfection. I love his Elden Ring playthrough. That was also perfection. And as a teenager, I used to just binge watch all his content. However, no offense to Jacksepticeye, I find that his loudness for his gaming, like his standard 30-40 minute episodes, just grates on my ears a little bit. But that's just because of my preference. That's not because he's a bad YouTuber or anything. He's just a little bit too loud for me. But his more somber playthroughs I still watch to this day. And seriously, go check out Jacksepticeye's Subnautica video. It is, or series. It is peak YouTube. Markiplier is another YouTuber that I used to watch a lot, and again, Markiplier's content is phenomenal. I love his choose your own adventure series. I love his spontaneous flamboyantness. I also another thing I love about all these YouTubers I'm about to mention is a lot of them support charities, support communities, and genuinely love their audience. So again, a lot of them genuinely love and care about their audience, and I like how a lot of them don't always cater to trends. Sometimes they do, but that's when you're a YouTuber, you do have to eventually cater to trends. I'm sorry, but it is true. But I love how they care about their audience and they just be themselves. So yeah, all the YouTubers I'm about to mention are genuinely like fun to like watch and just are they're good. But Markiplier, I still watch to this day. I really want to watch Iron Lung. I hope he uploads it on his channel. Maybe he has by the time this is on, but I do hope he uploads it to his channel because I want to see it. I wanted to see Iron Lung in theaters, but no theater around me was playing Iron Lung, which is absolutely sad. But I love Markiplier. I love playing his or watching his Doom Eternal and Doom 2016 playthroughs. His Doom Eternal playthrough was probably the best playthrough of that game with commentary I have seen. And the fact that he stopped to read all the lore and get really invested in the backstory of the Slayer, it was good. Another great YouTuber that I watch is Kadikarus, also called Caddy. But Kadikarus is one of the better long form content creators out there. He does not upload very often, but he does create some really fantastic, just, well, videos. He uploads once in a blue moon, and he's another YouTuber that doesn't cater to trends. Like he's himself. He's 100% himself, and he's a fantastic dude. And I do suggest supporting him. He's gone through some hard times in the past, and if you show him love, I appreciate it. But Kadikarus is another great YouTuber, and unlike some other YouTubers I've mentioned, every single one of Kadikarus's videos is binge worthy. Like he hasn't created a single video, short or long, that I deem unpleasant to watch. Absolutely fantastic. His writing, his humor, his his what's the word I'm looking for? His inclusion of his family in his videos and whatnot. So it's amazing. That's the type of YouTuber I would want to be if I had a like family or home or whatever. I would want to be that type of YouTuber that can do YouTube, but also can engage with his audience and care about his family as well. But Kadikarus, every single video he's ever made is fantastic. And finally, another YouTuber that I really respect and also is his own entrepreneur. Unfortunately, I don't watch him nearly as much as I used to, and that's just because I just don't have enough time to watch everyone. But the official Nerd Cubed, that guy is also awesome. He has been with YouTube since the very beginning, and I used to watch his shenanigan videos all the time. Absolutely all the time. And while I don't watch the official Nerd Cubed these days, I do still keep up with his channel. I do still keep up with everything. He recently released a book, so go check that video out. I would suggest supporting his book. It's awesome, and I really want a copy of his book. I will get it eventually, but Official Nerd Cubed was the OG YouTuber that I started binge watching. I watched all his GTA 5 shenanigans. I watched all of his Nerd Cube or Nerd Plays series. I even watched him play some of the Souls series, and yeah, one of his best videos that I have ever seen was, I can't remember the name of it, but it was where he was doing a video. He was playing a wrestling game. I think it was Hard Time or something like that. And the dude was climbing a ladder. One of the guys was just climbing a ladder, or he was climbing a ladder. I can't remember the finite details, but the dude was climbing the ladder, got up to the top. He was wrestling or doing something on the bottom, and then out of nowhere, the guy falls off the ladder and just screams all the way down, and then makes this plop sound. I still remember that in my head all these years later. It's been years since I've seen that video, but that made me burst out laughing like I have never laughed before. And the funny thing, Nerd also burst out laughing, and those moments you don't get to see in YouTube these days. It's all about the dance trends. It's all about like hot women showcasing on their platform trying to get clicks from people. It's all about, actually it's just all about trends. gym bros. A lot of people just posting gym stuff and all that shit. In fact, I recently got YouTube Premium just so I could stop with the ads. The incessant ads on YouTube. It's a bit much. But I don't hate YouTube. I'm a YouTuber. I still love like watching YouTube. I'll always support YouTube, and I'll try to always support YouTube. And I am a small content creator, so I'm a speck in the entire spectrum. But old YouTube from 2006 to 2014 was probably the best years of YouTube. And the funny thing, the reason I wanted to become a YouTuber, not only, as stated before, I really like filmmaking, I really like cinematography, I really like editing, and I really like everything associated with video content. But I wanted to become a YouTuber because my dad, a long time ago in 2006, back before YouTube even had any real like like grip on the world, back before they were owned by Google, good lord. But my dad uploaded a Santa Claus video. He called it something like Bad Santa or something. But I will remember it like it was yesterday. It was a snowy day. We were on our back porch. The wind was howling. He was in a red flannel shirt and with beard, everything like that. I was the one recording, and the wind was blowing against his face to the point where his beard and his hair was wiggling, flowing to the side. And yeah, he was talking mad stuff and just being himself. And I was recording, and I can't I would love to find that video. I would love to find that video, tag it, link it to my channel so more people would view it. I don't even know how many views it has. This was back before people started naming their YouTube videos and doing thumbnails and stuff. It was back, I don't know how many people remember this, but it was back before like YouTube even had a clear picture. It was like 144p or 240p, and if you didn't have, I think you even had to pay YouTube at that time. But if you weren't if you didn't have any subscribers or anything, and you were using a trial. There's a bug. Did you see that just bug walk across the screen? No, it's coming back. It's coming back. No, no. But yeah, I got a better camera. You can see things clearer now. But yeah. So this was back when you made a video, there was this giant red text across the screen that flashed constantly and filled up a big portion of the screen. But we sat out there, it was probably a minute, 2 minute long video, and he was just being himself, and it is so funny. I remember it like it was yesterday. And at the end of the video he said, okay, I think he cursed a little bit, but he said something like, okay, let's go back inside. This shit's cold or something. It was hilarious. But my dad made a YouTube video, posted it on YouTube, and from that point on, I wanted to become a YouTuber. But the problem was, number one, I did not have time to become a YouTuber. Well, actually, I had plenty of time when I was a kid. I just didn't have the motivation because when you're a kid, you have no responsibilities. You have no desire to be responsible. You just want to do what you find fun, and that's it. You don't care about anyone but yourself. And sadly, that's how I was when I was younger. It's like, I don't care about you. I don't care about anything. I just want to sit down after like my homework and everything, and play video games. The funny thing is, I have been doing side work for people since I was 11 years old. I actually have pictures, if I can ever figure out how to upload those on the channel. I have pictures of me cutting grass for my dad and other people in a fishing hat, striped shirt, overalls, and I was smaller than the damn lawnmower. I was tiny. Like the lawn, I couldn't even move the lawnmower without using every bit of force in my body. But I was cutting grass when I was 11 years old. I was fixing bicycles when I was 11 years old. I was running mail when I was 16 years old for our public like mail center. I had a bicycle. I strapped a basket on the front of the bicycle, and I was running mail all throughout our town, throwing it, carrying it, whatever. And I had a backpack too. If there was heavy packages like boxes or something, I had a backpack. Can you guys hear that? Cicada outside, the loudest motherfucking bug on the planet. But I had a backpack and I had it loaded up with stuff, and I would just ride all over the place delivering mail. At the end of the day, I would drive. I would ride back to the mail center. I would show them all the like places I went to because they gave me a sheet and a little booklet with everyone's address and every place I had to go, and I had to check off that like sheet. And they also, I think that at the time they tracked the mail, so they knew if I did not deliver it or not. And depending on how much I delivered, how fast I did it, how efficient I did it, they would pay me at the end of the day. Hard cash too. And I would also eventually, I did that for 2 years. I would eventually get to know everyone by name when I went to their like place of business or home, and they would literally tip me. One lady actually invited me in her house to have dinner with them and her family. I turned it down because I was very suspicious of everyone. I'm still very suspicious of everyone, even you watching this video. I'm very suspicious of you. Yeah, I see you. But I was very suspicious of everyone, and I still am. But I try to find the good in people now and never look at. There's always a negative to something and a positive. The negative will always outweigh the positive sometimes, but the positive can always outweigh the negative. Never, never let your insecurities, never let your doubts, never let anything hinder your progress in life. Take the good with the bad, as Conquest said from Invincible. Bad person to compare to. Don't compare yourself to Conquest. He's an absolute psychopath. That was a bad comparison, but you take the good with the bad. But yeah, things things were better in 2006, 2000 between 2006 to 2012. I think was the best time of my life. And there's deeper things that happened in my life that I won't discuss in this podcast. Maybe if I hit 100 subscribers, 200 subscribers, I might showcase some of the more unsavory parts of my upbringing, because it wasn't all like peaches and rainbows or rainbows and sunshine. There was some dark shit that happened to me, but hey, again, don't look in the past, look in the future. But yeah, I'm going to be doing this kind of podcast more often on the channel. Like I said, I don't have a filter. I try not to have a filter anyway. I just speak my mind. If people love hearing someone speak their mind, you're welcome to stop by and watch. Maybe eventually I will start live streaming these and people can actually stop by and communicate. Maybe I'll answer some Q&A questions. And yeah. And yeah. I'm also, side tangent. Again, this is not a structured podcast. This is just me talking. This is the first podcast or audio commentary on the channel, and this is just me being me, doing my thing, talking about whatever I want to talk about, and not trying to offend anyone. But what was I going to say now? I can't remember. Yeah. Also, one thing real quick.
This is something that I really like doing, but I sound like a little squeaker. Those who know what a squeaker is, you game a lot. But I can change my voice. I can also do some voice acting with controlling my voice and whatnot, or like this. Hello, Clarice. I say my soul, and you know what you are. But yeah, that's cool.
And this is the monster voice, which sounds like a unsavory person
Then we have the singing voice, which is awesome. And also, I can change my vocals if I do something like this. Hello, 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 hello. So that's cool. Then we have major mode, which emphasizes the deepness, but I prefer my original voice. I will be doing some sound tests and some audio tests in the future, which won't have a, like recording. It's just going to be a thumbnail and audio. But I also am going to be writing a script with some jokes and stuff to do in different voices and try to control my voice with certain things. So that will be fun. I am also going to be writing scripts for some of my more structured audio commentaries. So if I have a specific topic that I want to stay on, not jump around like I do in this one, I'm going to have a script and I'm going to read from that script. So some things will finally be scripted on the channel. Maybe. I don't know. Let me stare deeply into your soul. All right. But yeah, as I was stating, I might live stream some of these. Also, if my voice is too loud, I can do it like this. And this softens the voice recording to be a little bit more pleasant on the ears. But I thank anyone for subscribing to my channel. I thank anyone for listening to me. I am a small time YouTuber. I'm just a random dude at home, living his life, doing the best he can in life, and just living. My goal is to start thriving and not just surviving. But I'm okay with surviving for now. And yeah, I also have a plan on getting a PC, even if it's a small little PC like a laptop or something, and have it next door so I can actually record and edit, do get that kind of stuff. But everything should be really fun. So a round of applause, everybody. Yeah. But also, as for the gaming content, I will be doing a Astrobot video this week. It's going to be a long one too. I'm going to see how much of the game I can actually complete in one sitting. But priority is I have subscribed. I have joined a boxing gym, and that's where I got the cool shirt. Cool shirt, awesome. But I joined a boxing gym, and for 3 weeks I'm going to be doing professional boxing training. And at the end of those 3 weeks, I'm going to see if I can enter a actual boxing ring with an actual opponent and spar someone who's actually really good at boxing. So we're about to see if I am good enough to actually do that sport as a hobby. And even if I can't box and I will never get into combat sports, the experience is something that I'm looking forward to. I love trying new things, and even if you're not good at something, at least you gave it a good, honest attempt. Always believe in yourself and never doubt yourself. However, with that said, it is okay to understand your limitations. Don't do anything you know you cannot do, and that is more harmful than good for you. There is no shame in saying, this isn't for me, I can't do it. But that'll do it for this podcast. I'm going to be only talking for 1 hour every cast, and after that hour, whatever I did not say gets left for another session. But thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening to a very not structured audio commentary about me, about some of my opinions, and about some things I like and dislike. I will, like I stated before, I will keep the drama down to a low amount. And if I do have a audio commentary on a Monday that has a topic that's a little bit more serious, I'm going to put a disclaimer before the video or before the stream showing what I'm about to discuss, just in case someone doesn't want to hear those opinions or thoughts. But this is going to be mostly a levity channel. This is going to be mostly just me being me, talking about some things maybe some people have an opinion on, maybe some people don't. And I still think YouTube isn't a bad place. There's definitely good and bad things about social media. That's the reason I don't have TikTok. It's the reason I don't have Instagram. I'm going to stick with YouTube. YouTube is my little corner of the internet, and YouTube is where I grew up on, and it's something I've been wanting to do for many, many years. Will it lead anywhere? I don't know. But you know what? If it leads somewhere, if it goes somewhere, that's all that matters. So I don't have a catchphrase yet for ending a cast, and I don't really know what my channel name is going to be. The Solo Gamer is a great moniker, but I kind of want something that fits my persona. I like working out. I like going to gyms. I like my job. I really like gaming, even though I don't game a lot. I still like gaming. So maybe in the future I'm going to change my moniker on YouTube one last time, and once that moniker changes, that's what it's going to be for the rest of my YouTube career. So, without further ado, I bid you adieu. Is that correct? I don't know. I'm not smart enough. But thank you all for watching. See you in the next one. See you next Monday. Peace out, everybody.